I want to tell you guys about, I know a lot of people have been asking me about it in my comment section and giving me comments and texting me and saying, Brandon, you did an amazing job at the White House briefing with Karoline Leavitt. Great job. So proud of you. But I'm so proud of you guys because you guys are the ones that I represent when I go out and do things like this, because I mean, obviously you guys have been supporting me to this point, and I wouldn't be as big as I am if you weren't sharing and liking the videos and commenting the videos, telling your mom and them and cousin them to tune in to the show. So I appreciate you guys. If you missed it, I went to the White House yesterday, got on a red-eye flight, didn't sleep, stayed up, did this, didn't sleep, came home, barely slept. So I've been running. But when the White House calls, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna say no? I ain't gonna say no, okay? And so when the opportunity presented itself, I wanted to represent you guys well. And I wanna play this, but I'm gonna give you some back end stuff, because a lot of people have never been to the White House. A lot of people have never been to a press briefing. And there's a lot of stuff that I kind of learned and things that I didn't know happen and ways in which people do stuff there that was very shocking to me when I went. So I'll give you my experience here in a second, but I want to play the clip in case you missed it. This is me at the White House press briefing with Karoline Leavitt. Wrote a clip.
With that, I'll take questions. Here in our new media seat today, we have social media influencer, content creator, Brandon Tatum. Brandon, thank you so much for joining us today. Why don't you kick us off?
Well, Karoline, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And on behalf of everybody that follow me, the millions of people that follow me, I want to say thank you for making the sacrifice and dealing with some of the most disingenuous people on planet Earth at times. I have two questions. The first question is associated with the shooting that occurred the other day. And I want to ask the question of, we know that it's not a gun thing. Any rational person knows it's not a gun thing. We know it's a mental health issue. So I want to know from you, what is President Trump and the White House going to do to address mental health issues around the country associated with these shootings? And the second thing is Chicago. You know, anybody with a connected brainstem knows that Chicago's crime is out of control. And young black men are getting killed, laying dead in the middle of the streets every single day in Chicago. No president has addressed any of these issues. And so what is the White House going to do to address issues in their capacity to deal with the conflict and violence in Chicago?
Sure. Well, to your first question about this.
So she goes on to answer. I think she did an incredible job giving me a good response, especially to the Chicago incident.
As for Chicago and cracking down on crime, it is a priority of this administration to ensure that American cities are safe again. And I'm so glad that you brought up the crime in Chicago, because we've been seeing the governor of Illinois parading out there saying that there's nothing wrong with Chicago. It's a great place to live. There's no crime there. He doesn't need President Trump's help. Well, I think the residents of Chicago beg to differ, and the statistics beg to differ. And I'll just share a few of those statistics with all of you. For 13 consecutive years, Chicago has had the most murders of any U.S. city. This is J.B. Pritzker's legacy, by the way. For 7 consecutive years, Chicago has had the highest murder rate among U.S. cities with more than 1 million people. In 2024, just last year, Chicago's murder rate per capita was 3 times higher than Los Angeles and nearly 5 times higher than New York City. That's more than double the murder rate in Islamabad and nearly 15 times more than Delhi.
Now, here's the reason why I asked her those questions. Many people don't probably think that they told me the questions to ask. No, they didn't. I thought they were going to give me a range, like, what is this, what she want to talk about? Nothing. I was like, I don't know what to ask her. And I'm like, would it be anything? Or would it be some stuff? Would it be, can I just ask her anything I feel like asking her? But also my thought process in the situation was that, ladies and gentlemen, big news. Costco announced that it would no longer sell the abortion pill mifepristone in its pharmacies. That's a massive win for life. But the fight has shifted online. Women can still buy the pill on the internet, and Planned Parenthood is pouring money into Google ads to get in front of them first. When a scared young mom types pregnancy help or abortion pill, ads steer her towards ending the pregnancy with a single click. That's why your support matters right now more than ever. We're 80% on the way to helping millions of women, 1 million moms, reached with compassion, ultrasounds, counseling, and real resources. But we can't stop at 80. Your gift today helps us reach women before those ads do, to meet her with truth, love, and practical help the moment that she searches. This is how we win the moment that matters most. Help us cross the finish line to 1 million women served. Give today at SaveTheStorks.com/Tatum, and together we'll show the world that life wins. I thought they were going to give me a range, like, what is this what she want to talk about? Nothing. I was like, I don't know what to ask her. I wanted to make sure that I didn't ask some crazy question that's so out of bounds that she can't even give a response to, because she's over here and I'm asking some way over here that's not even being covered, right? So there's a part of me that didn't want Karoline Leavitt to have to go stretch to try to answer some weird question because I want to be selfish. So I didn't want to do that. And like I said, they didn't tell me what question to answer. So I was like, I don't know. I just gotta think it through. And the way I did was, when she finished her monologue, I said, okay, there's two things. Obviously the shooting is important. And Chicago, no president has ever really done anything about the violence in Chicago. Every year, it's like literally the murder capital, and by number, probably not by population density, but by number. I mean, there's literally 2 or 3 people that die every single day, and most of them are African Americans in the South Side of Chicago and other gang areas in Chicago. And so most people aren't doing anything about it. So I said, let me just ask a question, and conveniently enough, this was something that President Trump wants to focus on, and they obviously had a great response of what they're going to do in this situation. So I just want to share that with you guys, because it is invaluable that when opportunities present itself, that you take advantage of those opportunities. And people are saying, oh yeah, of course you defending Israel, that's why you got invited. Nah, it's because when you're a guy with integrity and you're a guy that say yes when opportunity presents itself and don't make excuses, more opportunities come about. There are people in that position that think they're too good to sit in that press briefing seat. There's people that think they're too good to get on a flight and do a red eye after their son's football game just to go to D.C. to sit there for an hour and a half. If I don't even think we sit there for an hour. So, don't be that guy. And that's the lesson that I want to teach some of you young people that are watching, is don't be that guy. When the answer calls, or when issues call, you got to answer. And another thing is that press briefing room is very small. Like on TV, it looked like it's kind of like at least as big as you would think it is. I mean, that room is probably the size of it's a little deeper than a regular bedroom, but the width of it is like a standard bedroom. So everybody's crammed into that place, wall to wall. And so that was another thing that was shocking and different. And the transparency of Trump's administration is that I did not know that everybody in the press corps can just walk right into the press office where Karoline Leavitt, her team is. They can ask as many questions as they want to ask. They can even come up to her office and ask her questions about things. So they are probably one of the most transparent press corps that there is. And I heard a rumor that Karoline Leavitt, even if they don't agree with Karoline Leavitt, she is one of the most open-minded, competent people that have been in that position for a very long time. And I'm talking about out of her in the last administration. And they said that the other one, Jean-Pierre, I heard through the grapevine that Jean-Pierre was a nightmare to the press. And the press complained about her all the time. And that she was incompetent for one, and for two, they weren't as transparent. Just for your sake, if you want to talk about it. But with that being said, I want to just mention one thing about Chicago and violence in Chicago.
Are fighting Trump's efforts to send in the National Guard. Governor J.B. Pritzker writing this: "We will not stand idly by if Trump decides to send the National Guard to intimidate Chicagoans. Action will be met with a response." And moments ago, Trump posting about the city's crime crisis. He says Governor Pritzker had 6 murders in Chicago this weekend. 20 people were shot, but he doesn't want to ask me for help. Can this be possible? The people are desperate for me to stop the crime, something the Democrats aren't capable of doing. Stay tuned. Some Chicago residents agree that there needs to be a change.
Because this is Donald Trump, they're going to hold their cards to their chest and say, we don't need you in Chicago. Well, I'm here to say we do need you in Chicago.
We invite the National Guard in. We've had 254 deaths in 233 days. 80% of those have been black boys. And for anyone in our community to say that things are getting better and that people are safe, that is an outright lie. We need to do any and everything we can to keep our citizens safe.
My first reaction was that this is a good thing. I think that the governor as well as the mayor should be on board with it, just so we can get a bit more of security in Chicago the way that we need.
The crime has dropped since 2024. Do you feel like the city feels safer?
No, not at all. No, especially with the police being defunded.
Hey, Trump, you need to bring the National Guards to Chicago, man. You got kids killing kids, man. That's not good, man. Washington, D.C. is not much going on compared to Chicago, man. I'm running. It's a war happening right now in Chicago, man. Hey, look, man. Look, go on the news. Go on the news. Or go on Google, type Chicago. I'm going back home to Africa, man. I can't. Too much going on, man. In Chicago, man. Yeah.
I guess another page out of the woke, liberal, politically confused Democratic handbook says that if President Trump is for it and wants to sincerely help you, do not let him push back at all costs, even if it means allowing your own community and constituents to continue to be hurt, harmed, or killed. The governor of Illinois and the mayor of Chicago are refusing to allow Trump to help them by sending in the National Guard and helping the local PD reduce crime in the city of Chicago, because they say there's 30 other states with higher crime rate than Chicago. Bullshit. Chicago is one of the highest murder capitals in the freaking United States of America. We've all seen it. We all heard the news. The governor is floating down this river or whatever in a boat in Chicago yesterday, talking about, look how peaceful it is. Me and my wife just walked for ice cream over the weekend. Yeah, you didn't walk down the city in the inner city. You didn't go where they're actually shooting and killing people. You went with your security guards where you're safe and protected. So tell that bullshit to the mother and the grandmothers and the fathers of them kids that are being killed on a weekly basis in the city of Chicago. Do you believe crime is actually down in Chicago and they don't need the president's help? Or do you believe they absolutely need the president's help and the National Guard to come in, because we cannot afford to lose another American life on the city streets in Chicago? Let me know in the comments. Oh, and don't forget to follow.
Everybody knows that Chicago's violence is out of control. And there is a solution to this. And maybe I'll talk about this in the op-ed, maybe I'll talk about it another time, but there is a solution to it. And it's not just, we need to have more money for housing. Housing is not going to be the difference between a young boy growing up deciding he want to join a gang or not, or a young boy want to be a rapper, or a young boy not believing that they have a future bigger than what they see in the south side of Chicago. The obtaining of firearms, the violent culture that's created in these inner cities all around America is not about housing, because you can rent a house. None of these people are homeless. If it was just homeless people out here shooting and stealing, and I say, okay, maybe it's a housing crisis. Everybody, mama got a house. Mama living on Section 8, or she got a house living with somebody else. You got a house. Them dope boys don't just go. It ain't living in the street. It's not a housing issue. It's a cultural issue. It's an issue of saying we need people in the culture from political leaders and people at the church to say, we need to stop celebrating violence in our community. The young rapper down the street rapping about nonsense, we can't support that. We can't support him in that, because that's not what we stand for. In the pulpit at the churches, they need to be telling young women, quit, close your legs and quit having babies with these idiots that ain't got a future. You need to, you can be responsible for what you do with your life and how many kids you have and who you have children with. We should be talking about in our churches and talking about in our families the abuse that go on in the black community. Now, I can't speak for no other community because I only been black. But there's a lot of abuse that goes on in the black community. Physical abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, the single mother epidemic that's in the black community. These are the things that politicians should be saying, we need to get a handle on this. We need money for resources for fathers that show up at the school. There was a program in Chicago, I think it was, I forget what it's called, like Fathers on Patrol or something. They had fights and violence and stuff. Fathers on Patrol went to the school, didn't have a single act of violence at the school. Not one fight after the dads were patrolling the school and all this stuff. I will give money to that. That's a solution. Not giving money to the government for the government to work on housing crisis. What does that even mean, bruh? A housing crisis. Mexicans are in a housing crisis. They're not doing this. White people are in a housing crisis. They're not doing this. They're not behaving this way. So what the are you saying? We know they're full of crap. We know these people are not upholding the truth, okay? Chicago has the highest total number of homicides amongst U.S. cities for 13 straight years. It holds the highest homicide rates amongst cities with a population over 1 million for 7 consecutive years. Just this past weekend, in the last 3 days, the past weekend. 6 people killed, 19 people shot. They can get on the news and cry. I'm gonna show you Jen Psaki or whatever name, Psaki bomb. They on there crying. It's a tragedy. It is. But 6 people killed is a tragedy too. And that was this weekend. That's every weekend. Every weekend, young people are getting killed. Every weekend, this is happening in Chicago. Where's your crime? Where are you guys at? Y'all can grandstand when you think it can benefit you against Trump, but when they killing people in inner cities, y'all don't say nothing. Where's Benjamin Crump? Where's Al Sharpton? Where are these people at when young black people are dying? I remember one time I looked this up and it hurt me. It literally changed my life. I said, wow, the homicide rate in Chicago is crazy. I hear people talking about it all the time. Let me look it up. Chicago actually has on a website. I haven't looked at it in a long time. They probably still have it. Of every murder that happens in the city of Chicago with the name, age, and if the name is released, but if it's not released, they at least have the age and the race of the person who was a victim of a homicide. I remember with tears in my eyes, I'm looking through the thing and I'm seeing black. 50, the first 50 or 60 homicides, all black. All black, not even a deviation. 14, 16, 32, 24, 25, 16, 17, 17, 13, 14, 17, 20, 30, 36, 28. Between 14 and 35, our young people are getting murdered in the middle of the streets. Some of them are involved in gangs. Some of them are getting shot with stray bullets. A 14-year-old is getting hit with stray bullets. A 14-year-old and 13-year-old and 12-year-old caught up in the aftermath of this stuff. No thoughts and prayers, no crying, no slow sing, no flower bringing, no GoFundMes, no T-shirt, no giving up about none of it. All right, let's go. Year to date, 262 homicides recorded so far. In the River North drive-by, which was on July the 2nd, 4 people were killed, 14 were shot. Significant decline in major crime categories that we've seen in a short order. However, and I would argue, think about this for a minute. They show that there's a decline, but this is the caveat to it. Can the city leaders say we're down 21% in victims, violent crimes, down 32% in homicides, all shootings down 37%? Can they say that? But then what is the recording measurement? This is what we need to, because you are not responding to calls for service. People are not calling. Does that not meet does that mean that the violence is down? These are things that people need to look into. The homicide rate is still too high. You can be down 30-some%. Hey, the year is still young. People still killing and dealing. And so I think that it's invaluable to understand this and to know what the crime numbers are and why we should be paying attention to this. And let me just add this too. A lot of times in the crime statistic data points, they say crime is down, but is crime down in these areas? You go on the south side of Chicago, is crime down on the south side of Chicago? Crime may be down all over Chicago, but is crime down there? Like they were saying in D.C. D.C. crime is going down, but is crime down where it's a concentration of people getting killed and hurt? The police may be actively helping. People may be going to prison. Illegal aliens getting captured, so the crime is going down. But right here, it's still dangerous as a mother to be right here, getting carjacked, murdered, all right here, still the same numbers. Tell me, is this in Southside Chicago, is the numbers changing? And maybe that'll be something we consider.